Welcome back and thanks for joining me. It is now week 8 of the Winter Stitch Sampler Knit Along, which puts us at the 75% mark for this particular project. It is flying by. Before we get into it today, my name's Holly. This is At Yarn's Length, and if you'd like notifications of our content, go ahead and click the subscribe button. You'll know next time we post stitches for the Winter Stitch Sampler Knit Along, and you'll also receive notifications of our content about knitting, crochet, travel, crafting, whatever I'm doing and posting videos about at any particular time. This is the beautiful and elegant Wildflower Knot Stitch. This is a little tiny knot shaped like a wildflower or a lotus, or maybe even like a star, interspersed all over this panel of stockinette stitch. This is a I don't want to say easy, this is a simple stitch. I'll show you how to do the knot. It's the most complex part, but the rest of it's just a stockinette panel, right? So here you do one special stitch, bunch of stockinette. Here you do a special stitch, and so on. It reminds me a little bit of the week 1 panel. None of these have been blocked. You can see how curly they are. It reminds me a little bit of our week 1 panel with the butterflies, except there are two things. One is the butterflies are quite a bit bigger. It was hard to tell on camera when you were just looking at this, but now you can see that these butterflies that I thought were really dainty in week 1 actually look a little hefty next to these little wildflower knots. And the other comparison I wanted to make is I had, oops, you can't see my fingers. I had butterflies that just sort of set flat on the stockinette stitch, right? And I think that's a tension thing, but also a factor of the stitch itself. With the Wildflower Knot Stitch, they don't really just sit on top. They actually have a tiny bit of pull. So all throughout, it looks like we have these little oblong shaped, I don't know, stretches, pulls. It's not really a shape of the garment, but it's just barely how the panel is being pulled by each of these stitches. But I think it gives it a really nice all over texture, and it's a beautiful, delicate stitch. I think it's lovely to do the week of Valentine's Day. So here we are doing it. Today I'm gonna knit a swatch, which is what I always do. You can knit a swatch with me, or you can go ahead and get started on the panel. And if you're doing the panel, this is worked in multiples of 8 plus 5 stitches over 10 rows. So we're actually going to start with 13 stitches, and that's exactly what we need to work that repeat. Or you can cast on 66 like we always do if you're doing the swatch. If you're doing the panel. 13 swatch, 66 panel. Oh, guys, it's been a long day. Okay, so what I've done first is I've already cast on the 13 and I've knit a setup row. And that is part of the original pattern, but I did it so there was no confusion about right side, wrong side, where am I supposed to be right now, that sort of thing. This pattern does begin on the wrong side. So the odd rows are going to be wrong side rows, the even rows are going to be right side rows, and it's just going to all be confusing. But really the ones you just have to worry about are 4 and 8, because those are the special stitch rows. So for row 1, which is our wrong side, we're going to purl all. This is the second row we're working, but it's row 1. And so we should be together whether you're working the swatch or the panel right now. And the panel does have edge stitches built in as well. So be mindful of those as you're working it, and maybe use markers so that you don't get lost. There we go. Okay. All right, row 1 is complete. Row 2, we're gonna knit. I know this is a very exciting swatch to watch me make today. But row 2 is knit. Spoiler alert, row 3 is purled. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do those two. What I'm really here to show you is the wildflower knot. We just have to do the work to get there. It's a really long tail for such a tiny little swatch. Okay, I'm purling row 3 right now. Okay, man, I've already got a lot of curl. Ah, don't you love that about stockinette? Okay, so here we go. This is row 4. This is our first chance to see how to make this wildflower knot. We're going to start with a knit 5. And we've come to our special stitch. I'm gonna purl 3 together, so I'll bring my yarn to the front to get ready to purl my 3 together, okay? Which, I mean, is always awkward, but okay, purl 3 together, but do not remove them from the needle. So I'm gonna purl 3 together, and I have my stitches like this, okay? Then I'm gonna yarn over, and I'm gonna purl those 3 stitches together again, normally. Weird. And then I'm gonna knit 5. What is that mess, right? All right, so I'm gonna work the next 3 rows. Rows 5, 6, 7 are worked, let's just say in stockinette, right? So we'll know purl, knit, purl. Purl this row, knit the next one, and then purl the next one. But saying work it in stockinette is just a little bit easier. And we're coming up on the stitches we worked. So weird. So let's take a look at what it looks like when we're done with row 5. You can kind of see the wildflower popping now. It's such an interesting way to make the stitch, right? Oops, and keep up with my needles. And your stitch count hasn't changed. We did the purl 3 together, but we didn't actually pull them off the needle together and turn them into 1. And then we yarned over, and then we did the purl 3 together again. So we were really left with 3 stitches where those 3 stitches were. I know, it's very odd. So let's do the one on the next, well, in the next few rows, the one on row 8. So I'm gonna knit a row, purl a row, and we'll be at row 8. 6 is all knit. With row 6 complete. Seven's all purl. Don't forget, if you're working the panel, you've got edge stitches. So when I say all knit and when I say all purl, that does not necessarily apply to you. It is just the repeat that is all knit and all purl. And we're working a single incidence. I won't say a repeat because it isn't, it's just one, a single incidence of this stitch for the swatch. Okay, so here we are in row 8. Look how cute that is. It's actually, I'm gonna get nice and close. It's actually turning out the way it's supposed to. Okay, for this one, we're gonna knit 1, and then we're gonna make our special stitch, which is purl 3 together, oof, and then yarn over, and then purl 3 together again, and pull it off the loop. So see how that's 3 stitches? So weird. I'm gonna pull that out so we can do it again. to give you one last shot at it, since we're almost done with the swatch. Make sure, oh, hold on. And of course my stitches got turned all wonky. Okay, so this is our special stitch. Coming in close. Purl 3 together, but leave the stitches on the needle. Yarn over all the way around, and then purl 3 together normally. And that gives us 3 in the place of the 3 that we just slipped down. And then we knit to the end. Guys, that is it. It is an 8-row pattern. And so that was row 8. And just like we've done in previous weeks when we've had patterns with diagonals, you know, this will spread like you saw on the actual finished panel, and they'll be everywhere, diagonally spaced from one another, and it'll be really lovely. If you are working the panel right now, oops, you're going to work the 8 rows that we just worked. You're going to do those 11 times. That's 88. And then you're going to work rows 1 to 7 once more. That gives you 95 rows, but you already worked a setup row, which was all knit, so that's 96. And then in place of row 8, which was the row we just worked, you're just going to knit all and bind off all your stitches. And that's going to give us the 97 rows that we need. All right, that is it for today. I hope you liked the Wildflower Knot Stitch as much as I did. I think it's fun and beautiful. There's so many ways that you could use this, and I'd love to see it if you use it in another project. Please consider subscribing as always so that you'll be notified of week 9, and I will see you then. Bye.